What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Thursday edition of The Squeeze. I am Tyler Conium, and it is the start of the NBA Finals. It's wild when I look back to think of when I first started this. It was last year. It was written, and I did futures for win totals for the NBA Eastern Conference Atlantic Division. I did win totals for all 5 teams in the Atlantic, and now here we are at the start of the NBA Finals, the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. If you've been following along, you know that I've got Miami plus 1,500 to win like 5 units. I've got Denver to beat Miami on an exacta to cover all of the NBA futures that I bet for the finals. And then I also yesterday had a Denver to win the series coupled with the Las Vegas Golden Knights parlay. I've been saying, I'm not going to make any NBA bets. I'm not going to bet any sides. Well, as you can see, if you're on YouTube, I have bets on the NBA game today, of course. It was a 1-in-1 day yesterday. Obviously, we had the futures parlay, so I'll figure that out in the future. We had the Atlanta Braves on the run line. That hit. It was a minus 135. It was juicy. It came in. They won 4-2, so that was a bit of a sweat. And then we had the Seattle Sounders on the money line. They lost 1-0 to San Jose, so I'm not sure what happened there. Just a good win by their first road win of the year for San Jose, so it is what it is. If you're a TFC fan, another 0-0 draw. That team is in such absolute disarray. It's a shame. So it is what it is there. Before we get to today's bets, I just want to remind you about a contest. We're into June. Today is June the 1st. So there's 8 days left for this contest. I'm giving away $25 in cash to place bets on a sportsbook of your choice. To enter, be a subscriber of this YouTube channel. For every subscriber, you automatically receive 3 entries. Every time you comment on a video, you get an additional entry. Follow me on Twitter, and when you retweet the Squeeze video each and every day, you get an additional 3 entries, and for every like, you get 1. So I've been compiling this. There's a lot of entries. It's going to be a great little giveaway on the June 9th edition of the Squeeze. I will draw a name, and that person will receive $25 in cash to place a bet at a sportsbook of their choice. Okay, getting into today. We are going to start in the NBA, and we're going to start with the NBA Finals. The lines are sharp. They're high. They're weird. I don't like them. And for that reason, I'm going with a adjusted alternate line parlay. The line right now for the Denver Nuggets is 8.5, 9, depending on what book you're looking at. I do not like betting 9 points on a game 1 of an NBA Finals. That's a lot of points. Do I think Denver wins this game? Yes. Do I think Denver wins this game big? Yes. Am I confident to put a full unit on them winning by 10? No. Do I think this game goes under 219, which is the line? Yes. Am I confident enough to lay the money? No. So let's combine them both. I'm going to take the Denver Nuggets minus 3.5, and for it to go under 229.5, it's a minus 115 parlay at DraftKings. So I'm taking the line from 9 down to 3.5, and I'm taking the total from 219, bringing it up to 229.5. Here's my thoughts. I think Denver wins this game. Denver is the better basketball team from the regular season and in the playoffs. They've played very, very well in the playoffs, as of Miami, but it's a tougher road. At the end of the day, they are an 8th seed. Tyler Hero is expected back for Game 3. You have to wonder, they've been playing very well without him. Will he be a help? Will it hurt the rotation? Will Caleb Martin be able to keep it up? He was arguably the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals, even though Jimmy Butler won that award. It could have been Caleb Martin. We'll see. Denver at home, including the playoffs, is 42-7. Miami on the road, including the playoffs, is 23-28. The Miami Heat are coming off a grueling 7-game series against the Boston Celtics, in which they went up 3-0, then they lost 3 straight, and then played very well in a Game 7. Now they have to fly across the country to higher altitude to play in Denver. Now, people, you can argue all you want. Does the altitude matter? Denver's never won anything, yada, yada, yada. It's going to matter a little bit, and when you're in a finals where the differences are razor thin, I think that that's going to play a little bit of a factor. These guys are tired. They're exhausted. Jimmy Butler's played a lot of minutes. He's a little bit hurt. Kyle Lowry's played a lot of minutes. He's a little bit hurt. Tyler Hero has been hurt since the round against Milwaukee. And then Denver's coming off, a dominating sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers. They've been sitting around. Now, you can argue, is it going to make them rusty? Maybe a little bit, but they're a very, very good basketball team. They've won 6 straight playoff games. They won 4 straight against the Lakers, and they won the last 2 against Phoenix in the second round. I think the Denver Nuggets this is their year. Between Jokic and Jamal Murray. They've got a great bench as well. I think that that's not talked about quite as much. They're just deep. They're solid. They're well coached. I think the Denver Nuggets win this game. I do think they win it big, but I like the 3.5. And then when Denver wins big, they tend to go under because they play such great defense. On the season, again, including the playoffs, Denver's 50-45 to the under. When you look back at their recent games against the Lakers, the number was 225. It went under. It was 222. It went over, but only by 4 points. So that was a 226 total. 225, it went over. Game 1 went way over. It was 132-126. But then even against Phoenix, 225 under, 228 under. They're not playing these big high-scoring games, and we're bringing the number up again to 229. It hasn't been, the last time a game was that high was game 2 against Phoenix. The total was set to 229. It went under by 45 points. It was a 97-87 total. That's why I like bringing it up over 219. 219 is razor sharp. Okay. Then you look at Miami, 204 under, 209 under, 214 under. All their games against Boston were under. They had one game that went to 230, but then they had one game that was 216. They're playing under games. I don't know if Miami's going to, like, Denver might put up 125 points, but I don't think Miami's going to put up 105 or 110 against them. Not in game 1 until they get adjusted. They played twice during the regular season. Denver won both of those games, one by 4, one by 5. The first game was a total of 220. The second game went way over. That was a December 30th matchup. Fair enough. Denver against the spread is 9-1 in the last 10 games against Miami. So for game 1, I think Denver, although they're rested, I don't think it's going to hinder them all that much. I think Miami's tired. They're going into high altitude. So give me the Denver Nuggets minus 3.5, and for it to go under 229.5 for a minus 115 parlay at DraftKings. Moving to the WNBA, you've got one game on the slate tonight. You've got the Connecticut Sun visiting the Minnesota Lynx. I'm taking the Connecticut Sun. The spread here at 6.5, I like that a lot. Basically by a couple of buckets. Connecticut is 4-1 this season. Minnesota is 0-5. ATS, Connecticut 3-2. Minnesota 1-4, right? So you look at Connecticut's most recent games. It was a 10-point win against Indiana. They lost by 16 points to New York. New York is the second best team in the WNBA this season. No surprise there. They beat Washington back-to-back games, one by 7, one by 6, and they beat Indiana by 9. So they're covering the spread more often than they're not. You look at Minnesota. As mentioned, they do not have a win yet on this season. They're one of the worst teams in the WNBA this season. They've lost by 5, 11, 9, 6, 9. They're not a great basketball team. I think Connecticut is a little bit underrated this year. I think they weren't expected to be quite as good as they are, but I think they're going to be. They're 9-2 in their last 11 games versus a team with a losing record dating back to last season. The Lynx are 1-7 ATS in their last 8 versus a team with a winning record, and they're 1-6 ATS in their last 7 games overall. You have this discrepancy in the WNBA because there's much fewer teams. The discrepancy between the best teams and the worst teams tends to be wider. And I think that is definitely the case here. And I think Connecticut gets it done. They're rolling. Minnesota, kind of maybe already looking to next year into the draft and getting their young players acclimated to the league. So give me the Connecticut Sun minus 6.5. That is minus 118 at FanDuel. And your last bet of the day, the baseball card today is difficult. There's a lot of day games. It's getaway day for a lot of teams. I don't generally like betting on getaway days because it's hard. They're going like, I'm betting the Jays game. They play at 1 o'clock today in Toronto, but they just played last night. So I had to really dig for something that I liked here. And I like Kevin Gausman over 1.5 walks for plus money, even money, plus 100 at Caesars. You might think, but Kevin Gausman, he doesn't walk anybody. Last year, that was true, and he's been great this year. He's been better this year than his career averages in most other statistical categories, but his walks this year are up. He's at 2.1 per 9 innings. Last year was his best year ever for his walks per 9 innings ratio at 1.4. His career average is 2.5, right? He had 2.3 the year before when he pitched for the Giants, 2.4 the year before that, and then this year, he is, his last time out, he walked 5. That was 5 innings against Minnesota. He still got the win. He only gave up 1 earned run. He had a great game. Otherwise, he had 8 Ks. But previous to that, he's had 2 walks, 2 walks. He had walked 0 against Philadelphia in 6 innings, but 1 against Seattle, 0, but 2 against Houston. The longer in the game he tends to go, this is interesting, the longer he tends to go, the more walks he tends to give up. So you might think if he only goes 3 or 4 innings because he's giving up hits, he's walking guys. It's actually not really the case. It tends to be the opposite. When he walked 2, it was in 8 innings. 2, it was in 7. When he walked 0, it was in 6. When he walked 1, he only went 3 1/3. When he walked 1, that was in 6. And when he walked 0, it was in 5 2/3. So he tends to walk more batters the longer he goes in the game. I think the Jays are poised for a big bounce back game today against the Milwaukee Brewers. Although I don't really know what's going on with this team, to be honest. The fact that they're only 3 games above 500 at this point of the season is a bit concerning. Their starting pitching has been good. And so this kind of takes away, this removes any over-unders, this removes any money lines. Can the Jays win? Will they, won't they? I don't really care because they've been too difficult to predict. I just think Kevin Gausman probably goes 6, 7, 8 innings today, and I think he probably ends up walking 2 batters. And to get that at plus money, I like that a lot. So Kevin Gausman over 1.5 walks for plus 100. That's at Caesars. And that is your Thursday card for today. A lot going on. The start of the NBA Finals. Give me the Denver Nuggets minus 3.5. And for that game to go under 229.5 for a minus 115 parlay at DraftKings. I'm taking the Connecticut Sun minus 6.5, minus 118 at FanDuel. And at Caesars, I'm taking Kevin Gausman over 1.5 walks for plus 100. As always, drop a comment if you're fading or following. You can follow me on Twitter at Tyler Conium for more picks and props throughout the day. TikTok and Instagram for just your picks portions, and your audio is on Spotify and Apple. Let's have a great Thursday, and let's talk sports.